and create more gross income, more net income, less taxable income, hopefully, a lot of active income for now so that we can set it aside and create a lot of passive income for later. Welcome to the Impact School of Money, where our mission is to change the way that people are educated about money, and this is episode 9. My name is Adam Davis. I'll be the instructor. The purpose of the Impact School of Money, we talked about the mission, but the purpose is really 3 things. 1 is to learn real-world rules of money. Number 2, learning how things work. And then number 3 is how those things apply specifically to you or potentially those you may know. How it works. There's so many different financial concepts, principles, tools, products, services, etc. that we hear about, and the question is who's teaching us about it? And that is the purpose, one of the purposes of the Impact School of Money is to teach not just definitions of things, but how it actually works. And then we can then take that and say, okay, how does that apply to me? Because unfortunately in the school system today, what we learn and how we learn it, even if we do take a financial class, which is kind of a rare thing because most people don't, but it's not very applicable, and a lot of the time it's not taught by somebody that's ever done anything that has anything to do with money anyway. I took several classes in college, finance classes, and they had never sat down with a real family before and tried to apply these principles, and that's something that's so unique about being in the financial industry for 13 years, is it's not just teaching a theory where, you know, if it was a robot doing it, it would work, but really looking at how do humans behave and how does this apply and what works in the real world. And so talking about how it works, let's talk a little bit about income. For the next several episodes, we're going to be focusing on all the different types of income, what it means, get kind of a good grasp of it. And I mean, I'm looking at my agenda, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 types of income that we hear these words or hear these phrases, and you know, we slowly get it a little bit at a time, but this is meant to accelerate our learning in what all these different types of income mean, which ones we're participating in now, which ones we're going to participate in the future, and how important it is to a financial future to understand these different types of income, especially before it's too late. We're retired and there's really nothing that we can do about the sources of income that we've have currently or are setting up for ourselves. So, how income works. We all have income, we earn income, and there's a lot of different phrases and words that we hear. So the first one is gross income. The next one we'll talk about is net income, because I don't need to write income every time. Then there's taxable income. Then there's adjusted gross income. That's funny, there's 4 different forms of income, words that we hear, things that we've heard before. Are they all the same? No, they're all different. But then we have what we talked about earlier, is there's active income, there's passive income. We'll talk about those ones today, and then we'll continue on other episodes of the others. So, first of all, we've probably all heard of these, but let's talk about gross income. So what is gross income? Gross income is going to be the total income before any taxes, deductions, or adjustments. Okay, so a lot of the time, when people are figuring what they're going to make from a job, they go interview and they're either offered a salary of some kind, hourly or a commission or whatever. And so a lot of the time, let's just go hourly. So if someone's going to be offered $10 an hour, just to keep our math easy, $10 an hour, and they're going to work 40 hours a week, how much are they going to make in a week? Well, they're going to make $400. So, first of all, that's a problem because you can't live on $400 a month. Well, unless you're a single college student, I guess. But that would be considered their gross income. If they made $400 a week times 4 weeks, that's $1,600 a month. That would be their gross income. But then a lot of the time when we're looking at a lifestyle, I remember doing this when I got my first job, is I looked at that hourly amount that I was going to be getting. I did the math, and I said, okay, if I'm making this much per hour, I'm going to make this much per month. But is that how much I really actually keep? I may earn that much, but after everybody gets their fair share, I guess, is what I end up with is net. And an easy way to remember this is a couple of ways, little things that people have said that they say, well, these are the ways that you can remember which one is gross and which one is net income. So I don't know about you, but there's multiple times when I was new in this industry that I would have to pause for a second. It's like, wait a minute, gross is this one, net is this one, right? Or they would say net of fees or net of this or gross that. And so here's a couple of ways to remember. So one guy told me that it's easy to remember because G, gross, comes before N in the alphabet. So as you go through the alphabet, G is the money you get first, and then after all the deductions, all those other letters, then net is what you end up with after G. After the gross is the net. Okay, another way, the way that I actually remembered it, now it's just, it just becomes natural to remember, but another way to remember it is just by the word net. And so if you imagine a net, all my income is pouring into this net, but if I'm getting dollars and coins, well, the net's not going to catch all the dollars and all the coins. And so as the money, hits the net is what I get to keep, and all the stuff that falls through the net, I don't get to keep. So the net is what I keep. Kind of easier to remember that way. So that's something to remember. Okay, so now we have taxable income. Okay, so taxable income is going to be everything that we earn that's subject to tax. So everything that's subject to tax. So it takes our investment income and our employment income and our passive income and our real estate income and business income, and it takes all of our income, and that's our taxable income, what would be subject to taxes. Okay, because there's going to be some tax-exempt income potentially, but taxable income is everything that we earn that's subject to tax. Then adjusted gross income. So here's our gross, which is our total income before any taxes, deductions, and adjustments. So kind of similar to taxable, or another one that's very similar to gross and taxable is something called employment. It's almost like another name for it, is employment income. And those three are pretty much the same thing, but employment income becomes important when it comes to qualifying for a Roth IRA. It has a lot to do with qualifying for Social Security benefits and what our provisional, there we go, wow, it took me a second to remember the word, our provisional income is. So we'll talk about that on the next episode. But our adjusted gross income is going to be all income. So this is going to be investment income, interest income, employment income, everything, all income minus why they call it adjusted gross income, is minus all of our adjustments or deductions. All of our taxable income or gross income minus adjustments or deductions is our adjusted gross income. So sometimes people wonder, well, why do people get such a big tax refund? Why not just pay what we owe? Well, that would be a lot easier to figure out if the government charged taxes and calculated taxes on a monthly basis, but they don't. They calculate it on an annual basis. And so since they're calculating it on an annual basis, they have to take, here's what you make all year, minus, you have something that happens in November, you go to school from August to December, you have all these different things that happen, and so they take basically all of your, if we were to kind of draw it out, they would take all of your income and kind of put it here. Here's all the income they make through the whole year. No deductions, nothing taken out, no anything. Okay, there's the total income. And then they'll look at, okay, how much of that income, if they were to if that was the filing cabinet, they open the little drawer and say, okay, here's the income tax drawer that we were withholding, or they were withholding some money each month. Again, the government doesn't care what is withheld every month. They care what they get at the end of the year. But to lighten the burden, the people will just have money withheld every month. And so then at the end of the year, they open that little drawer, that little section, and they say, okay, how much of this total income went to income tax? And then they'll open another drawer, and they say, of all the money that you made and spent, how much of that is tax deductible? So, taxable income. So you have your total income. Imagine that as a filing cabinet. Little bit deducted each year goes to taxes, comes out, which they don't look at till the end of the year. Then we have the things that are deductible, mortgage interest, we get a credit for kids and a whole bunch of different things. So they'll take our total income for the year, subtract out what all of our deductions were, and they'll figure out, based on that, which is our adjusted gross income, what do we owe in taxes? And then in previous episodes, we've talked about how to calculate tax brackets, right? So they look at, okay, here's what you owe total. Here's the dollar figure that you owe. Here's what you've been withholding. So we open this little drawer in the filing cabinet of what has been deposited into the tax income drawer over the last 12 months. Is there enough in there to pay the taxes that you owe? If there is, then they pay the taxes. And that's because that's what you owe. You pay what you owe throughout the year, and you're good. If you paid too much, if too much was withheld, and this drawer is too big, and you owe, this, then you paid too much, and they refund back the overage, what you overpaid. If there's not enough that was set aside here, and you owe this much, then you're going to owe. You're going to have to pull it from here to make sure that you pay it. What's funny is people think they get to the end of the year and they owe the government some taxes. They think they did something wrong. They think they did something illegal. They think they're in trouble, or that for whatever reason you're going to end up paying more in taxes if you owe at the end of the year than if you would have just had it withheld throughout the year. And we owe what we owe regardless of when we have it withheld, if that makes sense. We owe what we owe regardless of when it's withheld, unless there's penalties and interest and stuff attached to that. But that's not what we're talking about. Okay, so that's just a good way to visualize how taxes work. Is just imagine that filing cabinet with the different drawers and knowing, is there enough in the drawer to pay the taxes? Okay. So next is active income. Active income is considered money that we work for, employment income that we actually have to go out and do something, exchanging our time for money, and that is active income. Passive income is defined as income that we get without working. It's passive. right? We're not having to earn it or manage it or, well, manage it, yes, but we're not having to work. So this is going to be income that we receive without working for it. Okay, and that's passive income. So, those are some, 6 different forms of income. Lastly, the last thing we're going to talk about isn't a type of income, but it's kind of what, at the end of the day is kind of like your report card as an adult is a phrase that we hear, another word just like net income, but net worth. What is your net worth? Is there a gross worth? No. It is pretty gross what some people are worth, both on the gross not enough side and gross that a lot of people are worth a lot, right? And that's pretty cool. This is my line that may not be accurate. I usually look at the camera to see, if my line gets cut out or not. But net worth is our assets, okay, our total assets minus liabilities. So our total assets minus liabilities, that is our net worth. So I kind of like to say that there's 2 different types of net worth. There's perceived net worth and there's real net worth. So what a lot of people go for is more of the perceived net worth. They have a really nice house, so it looks like they're worth a lot of money. Well, let me ask a question. What is more impressive to you? $1 million house or a $2 million house? Because $1 million house isn't as cool as it used to be, because especially if you live in California, right? $1 million house, you're like, oh, that's a nice starter home. But what's more impressive, a $2 million home or someone that has $2 million saved? And so there's the perceived net worth, that you have something that's worth $2 million, but after you subtract the mortgage on it, what do you have, right? Where having $2 million saved is almost something that we, our eyes widen and our jaw drops because of the discipline that it took to get that. Where you think about it, in order to qualify for a $2 million home, do you have to have a really high income? Not really. It's actually crazy, and here's my 30-second rant for the day, that in the country that we live in, they'll allow you, and we'll talk about this on another episode, that the United States of America actually allows you to qualify for a home where your house payment can be as high as 30% or a little bit more, a third of your total income, gross income, mind you, before taxes, before deductions, before all that stuff, before health insurance, before all that 401k contributions. They'll allow 1/3 of your income to be your house payment. So your gross income is $3,000 a month. Then after tax, after deductions, after health insurance, you're pulling in $2,300, $2,400, but they'll allow your house payment to be $1,000, and you get $1,400 to spend on everything else. But you can qualify for a home at the payment 1/3. And then what's even crazier than that, that's called the front end debt to income ratio. The back end debt to income ratio, which is what all of your debt payments add up to be, can be as high as 40, 43, 45, sometimes you can squeak through. 45% of your gross income could be all of your debt payments. So again, you're making $3,000 gross, right? $3,000 gross, minus all your deductions, you're bringing home $2,400. They'll allow, in order to qualify for a home, your total debt payments to be half of what you make. So $1,500 are going to debt payments, a bunch is going to taxes, etc., you're left with $900 to live on outside of debt payments and a house payment. That is insane to me. Totally insane. I have my mortgage license, I think, for 7 or 8 years, and it just floored me sometimes what people were trying to do to qualify for a home. But again, that kind of is a spin-off of what we're talking about today of income, is getting our income up, income to a point, and not being afraid to go and make more money. Go make more money, get yourself secure, put the mask on yourself so you can start helping other people. And that's, you know, that all starts with knowledge. It's really hard to go out and accumulate a lot of wealth and keep it if we're not really sure how all of this stuff works. If we do accumulate a lot of money without understanding how this works, a lot of the time that's just considered luck, right? Beginner's luck, playing a game that we don't know the rules to and winning. But the more we understand the rules, it doesn't guarantee our income goes up. It doesn't mean our net worth goes up just because we understand the rules of money. It's learning the rules, learning the definitions, increasing our knowledge, and then we've heard the quote, knowledge is power. Well, there's a part of that sentence that's missing. Knowledge is power when and if it's applied. So it's powerful when it's applied, and so it's getting the knowledge base, then going and implementing the rules and putting ourselves in a position to win and create more gross income, more net income, less taxable income, hopefully, a lot of active income for now so that we can set it aside and create a lot of passive income for later. So thank you for joining us on the Impact School of Money today. I'm Adam Davis, your professor for today, and class dismissed.